Hello guys, and welcome to my another tutorial of my Introduction to Programming class at North End Community College. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to implement a key listener, and that will then allow us to make key events. If you're asking what is a key event, it is basically something that, just like an action event is, when you click a button, you want that button to do something. Well, when I press a key, I want that key to be able to execute something. So that is what we'll be doing today. So first off, go ahead and create a new JCreator workspace. Just import your Java awt.event and your Java x.swing, just like normal. Instead of implementing action listener, we're going to implement key listener. If you also want to, you can do both. So just like that, you just comma separate them. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to be doing that. The first thing I just do here is I just add two ints, x and y, because I'm going to be making a yellow sun that moves. So these are going to be my starting positions. So starting x position and starting y position. So there we go. If we go ahead and run this, you'll see that, boom, my sun starts at 50-50. Boom. You can see that down here. It just says, set color to yellow, and then fill an oval at x and y. So next thing we do is we need to initialize two things for this to happen. We need to initialize a listener, and we need to make our JApplet focusable. So how we do that is we just add key listener to this. So that means that our JApplet is going to be listening for any key input. And that way we can use that data later on. The second thing is we need to set something focusable. We need to set this JApplet to focusable, so we're going to set that to true. So focusable will be true. What that means is, for instance, right now this JCreator is focusable. How do I know this? Because when I click, my cursor moves around with my arrow keys. But let's say I minimize input, or minimize my JCreator. Now look at it. Now my desktop is focusable. See that? See how my, but when I'm moving around here, my JCreator cursor doesn't move around. When I'm moving around inside of JCreator, my icon position doesn't move here. So there's typically only going to be one window or one application or one executable that can be focusable at a time. So we just need to be able to tell our JApplet that yes, we can focus it. Otherwise, none of our, in Windows or anything else, your key inputs only go towards whatever you're focusing. So if you don't focus it, your JApplet, then you can't. It's never going to be able to hear your keys that you press. So with key listener, you're going to have to add three methods: key released, key typed, and key pressed. So if you go ahead and just type something, when you type it, it's when you press down on the key, that's when the key appears. It's not when you release it. So if I was able to type this on release, that means if I held it down, nothing would happen. And then as soon as I let go of the key, it would be released. So that is what key release means. So we're not going to use that, because you want the action to happen as soon as the user presses the key. Key typed, I'm not 100% sure on what this is. I believe it's when a full momentum of key released and key pressed has happened, but like I said, I don't know for sure. But key pressed obviously is whenever the key is pressed down. So we're going to be using key pressed, like I said. So our three methods, key release, key type, and key pressed, are going to have some arguments. It needs a key event. So we're just going to put key event, and we'll just call it KE, key event. So we'll just make these two just kind of stubs for now. They're not going to do anything. But inside of our key pressed, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable called code. It's going to be an integer. We're going to set that equal to our key event, and then get key code. So what this does is it listens to the applet for any keys that are pressed. And so those keys that are pressed are a key event. So when a key event happens, it's going to get the code for that key. And so that code is the integer value of the key that you pressed. So we're going to go ahead and if you take a look, so now it's just going to set it to code. So now all we have to do is just like your action listeners is like if this button's pressed, then do this. Now this is just going to be the same thing. If our code is equal to key event dot, and then this is going to be the key that we press, that it's going to be matching that code up to. So in this case it's VK underscore up, so that would be the arrow key up. So if the key pressed code matches up to the same code of the up arrow, then it's going to execute some code. So in the code here it's just going to be if up is pressed, Y is going to subtract by 10, and then we're just going to do a repaint. Same thing with down, right, and left. So in the naming convention for this key here, it's always going to be key event dot, and then so it's going to be key event dot VK underscore. Okay, that's always going to be the same. Now inside, and what you can do here is you can do multiple things. You can just type in the letter, so J. So if J is pressed, run this. So on and so forth. When you're doing number pads, let me just pull up the book real quick. There we go. It's page 181. If you turn to that, it'll kind of give you everything you can do. So say you want to do numpad, so numpad, and then the number associated with that, so 9 or 5. There's also, enter, multiply, divide, alt, shift, control, tab, whatever you want. So that's the naming convention for that. So we're pretty much done. All you have to do is, this, what's inside, what it's doing here is just, that's going to be all up to you. So you could have it so when you press enter or down or whatever, something completely different happens, a sound plays or whatever. So this is going to be completely up to you. So I'm just giving you the structure of which needs to be to make this happen. So if we go ahead and run this real quick, so let's take a look real quick. So this is now active. I've got this clicked. If we look over here, it says if we press up, then Y is going to subtract by 10, and we're going to repaint. Well, when we repaint, it's just going to set this, it's going to fill an oval to X and Y. So right now, we stated that our X and Y values are 50. So if we press up, our sun should subtract Y by 10. Bam. So you can see when I press up, our sun goes up, left, down, right, all works just fine. So right now, JApplets are not the prettiest thing in the world by any means. So if I held down a key, when you hold down a key, you have a buffer time that depends on like your key delay settings inside of your settings for your computer. So there's a key delay setting. So meaning that when I click left, see how it waits and then it goes away. So that time in between, like when I click it, and then it just starts rapidly pressing the button over and over and over and over again, that's your key delay. So sometimes when you're playing a JApplet game, you may want to set your key delay to nothing. That way it all looks kind of fluid, but either way. So there you go, guys. That concludes this tutorial. Have a good one.